So I have to write a contemplation on the Yoga Sutras, and I'm having a really hard time writing this contemplation because I'm still contemplating it. And writing a paper on it makes me feel as though like I should have some sort of understanding of it that I can put down in words, but I don't know. Every time I've tried to write, it's like I realize something else about what I'm writing. And so I'll pick up the book to see what that's about, or if maybe I didn't get it right the first time, and then it just never ends. So I guess my struggle with writing this contemplation about it is that I have to go into my mind stuff to write the contemplation about it. And I know that in book 4 they talk about, how the mind stuff will reflect the Atman when, let me get to this part. This is a part that I still am kind of taking in, and I know there's more to take in on it. Let me get to this that I'm looking for, because that's another thing. I feel as though by writing this paper, I need to have these sutras memorized, and I need to reference them and repeat them, and it's really difficult to reference something that I have been just thinking about almost constantly. I don't know, it's really hard for me to put something like this into words. Because I sit here and get a plan. That's how I've written papers in my life, having a plan, having an outline. But there's no outline to something that's ever changing. Okay. So the mind stuff cannot perceive both subject and object simultaneously, which proves it is not self-luminous. I can honestly say this book has changed my life. Just one portion alone of it has changed my life. Because I read the first 2 portions at one period, and then I got really busy because a lot of life happened, and I took a break on my reading. And then I did not read this simultaneously. So different portions applied to different seasons of my life. Let's see the sutra that I'm looking for. The consciousness of the Purusha is unchangeable. By getting the reflection of it, the mind stuff becomes conscious of the self. So basically, I'm watching myself stop myself as I write this paper. My mind stuff sitting there saying, "You're not going to finish this, Julia. You have not finished anything since high school. Yeah, you might have went to the trainings, but this paper, no." And then there's another part of my mind that sits there, and I'll get an idea oh my gosh, this is it. Okay, I'm finally going to start writing. It's finally going to start flowing. And then my mind wants to sit there and play the, oh my gosh, this is so good game. You're going to win a frickin' award for this paper, Pulitzer Prize for your contemplation paper. And regardless of which end my ego is falling on, the, oh my gosh, you're shit, or oh my gosh, you're so much better, it's a lack of humility, and I can keep on boiling that down. But regardless of how far I boil it down, it's one of those self-fishes that Patanjali, these pronunciations are another difficult thing, but I would like to at least honor the man by correctly stating his name. Patanjali states at the end of book 3, which really was most prominent to me, book 3. And I initially told myself, okay, I'm going to, Donovan, why are you sucking on my finger? There's a bottle right here. I initially told myself that I was going to write my contemplation on book 3. And I have about half a notebook of attempts to write a contemplation on book 3, but every time I try to do that, something else comes up. Either that idea is not right, or I start thinking about what the teachers are going to say regarding my thoughts on this book, when really it's just my thoughts thinking about my own thoughts. I'm stopping myself from writing this paper. I know that this is not for grade, so I could literally just sit down on my laptop and write whatever, but I want to prove that I understand this book. But how do you prove something? I don't know. I can tell you about something in my life that's really changed since I started training and reading the Sutras. I've been sitting with things. I began training thinking that I had overcame all this self-destruction, and I had to a point, but it wasn't the end of it. And I had to realize that there is no end to it. It's just what I do with this endless loop, the mind stuff. And I spent a lot of time planning this big escape where I would abandon all my responsibilities, where I was going to say fuck it to everything and go to the store, and I would buy maybe a pint of ice cream, maybe a dozen donuts and some cookies and a bag of chocolate, a couple muffins. And I would eat it all. And then I would be in a really bad mood because I felt like crap from the crap that I put into my body, so I'd take it out on my family. And then I would have a hard time waking up the next morning and sit there and say, poor me, motherhood is so hard, when it's definitely hard, but I was making it even harder. And I haven't been doing that anymore. I haven't done that in about a month and a half because I saw how good it made me feel to teach a class during my final practicum, something I was really, really afraid of. And I saw how that motivated me to plan another class that I needed to teach as part of my coursework, which I'm still working on. And just hearing how good everybody felt after and being like, whoa, this is something that kept me on my toes, kept me focused on the part of me that's like, you should, I want you to sit there and go down this train of thought because it's clearer, it doesn't have all these illusions. And then there's the other part of me that's like, no, that part is scary. You can't control it. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. And but I realized that if I'm going to be teaching classes, I can't want to stop it. I have to be open. I have to let it flow through me. And with that, I realized that if I'm poisoning my body, I guess that's the beginning of ahimsa. I cannot let the source that Patanjali is talking about throughout all of the sutras, that we're not striving for, we're merely discovering. He states in, let me see which sutra it is, in book 3. Donovan, please don't eat the book. No, please don't eat the book. This is for Mommy's school, okay? No, you can listen to it, but we can't eat it. If we eat something, then it's no longer there for us to listen to, but we want to listen to it. Okay, let's see where they're talking about uncovering and discovery. Let's see, okay? Let's see. Donovan, no. Thank you. No. I'm going to have to put you down if you're going to keep on trying to reach the book. I know that it looks very interesting. Okay? Yeah. Let me just put you down with your toys, okay? I'm sorry, but that's a very important book, and you're a very important boy. And it would hurt you to eat a book. We want to make you feel good, so we're not going to do that, okay? Thank you. Okay, back to the search for the sutra on discovering. See, this is another thing, like, I'll read these things and when I have to go back and reference something, which no one said I have to go back and reference it, that's another thing I'm imposing on myself. I guess that is let's see what the word is, because I just saw this word and I remember being fascinated by finding out that there's an actual word for it. Okay. Let's see. Superimposition. That I have to go back and reference each sutra. That's a superimposition I'm placing on this contemplation paper, when really it's just what I make it. So, where is this fricking discovering and uncovering? Well, I don't really have to reference it because that's a superimposition. So, I guess that the whole point that I have gathered from this book is that Patanjali provides exercises we can go through to discover who we really are. Not to sit there, we're not going on an expedition, trying to find some crazy, like, Sasquatch or Bigfoot or something. No, like, we're going, it's not even buried treasure. It's kind of like, there's this movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, where they search for this buried treasure the whole time, and then they almost die in the end, like, as they're trying to get the treasure. And I think this is how the movie goes. It's been a few years since I have seen it. But they almost die as they're trying to get this buried treasure, and they don't get the treasure, but then they realize that they're alive, and that becomes the true treasure, and they're so happy to be alive. The treasure is within us. And the 8 limbs, the yamas, the niyamas, the pranayama, the asana, the self-restraints, the dharana, the dhyana, and the samadhi. They're processes of elimination. Eliminating, sitting there, going through our waters and being like, oh, this fish, this is a selfish. I'm going to put this in an aquarium. Okay, this too, this is a selfish. I'm going to put this in the aquarium. I don't have to kill it, because by having this fish to look at, I can be able to catch other fishes like it. I took on one of the things that I did, like, I felt really, really nervous when I first, throughout the whole time that I was in my teacher training, because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in this place that's really important to me, and I really want people to like me, and I'm not deserving of having people like me, so, I'm just gonna put it in my head that they already don't like me, that I'm not good enough, and that I don't deserve to be here. And I walked around with that cloud hanging over my head the whole time. That big old fish standing in the way of these beautiful blue waters, and I knew that wasn't something that my true self wanted to carry on with. So I signed up to do this cleaning at the studio once a week, and I've watched myself go through that during the last month of doing it, and I went in there really nervous, like so nervous that I'm worried about somebody's gonna walk in and say that I'm not, like, taking out the trash good enough. Like, Julia, you spilled a bit of dirt on the floor. Oh my gosh, how can you leave that? You're fired from a volunteer position. Oh my gosh, did you see how dirty the bathrooms are? Oh, let's look at the schedule. Who cleaned it? Oh, Julia cleaned it. That makes sense. Fuck her. She sucks. Oh my gosh, why did she even take this training? And so you see it goes on and on and on. And if I kill that, I'm gonna forget that it's there. So I'm gonna catch it instead, and I'm starting to learn how to catch it. And I'm starting to learn how to just breathe through it and be like, okay, this is here. This is a part of my mind. And by realizing that it is a part of my mind, I know it's not a part of me. It goes back to this question I've wrestled with for years. Who am I? Dreaded who am I? Beyond, of course it started in adolescence. I think even before that, Because I started wrestling at a very young age with the why am I here? What is the point? To the extent where I tried to kill myself for the first time when I was 8. And this is another thing that this book has helped me with. I have spent most of my life trying to kill myself. And I'm like, both physically and metaphorically. Hell, the way I ended up in Asheville, North Carolina, well, I was strangling myself in a noose. And something came through, something that wasn't anything I felt I could reach at the time. It's like, oh my gosh, like, you got to kick yourself. You got to get out of this. So I started flailing, and I managed to get my feet onto a desk, and I loosened the thing. I got out. I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, like, this is what I'm trying to do. And so they took me to the hospital, and then the hospital said, you know, you've been in and out of this place how many times in the last year? We got to do something different. So they sent me to Florida because I was an alcoholic at the time. I was a real bad alcoholic. In addition to being a really bad alcoholic, I was also I was throwing my life away because I was so stuck in my head trying to find the point. When I was stabbing myself with the point. Like, no, that's not a good metaphor. That's just something I wanted to say to sound cool. But yeah, trying to find the point. And I found a bit of the point when, you know, I was in this Florida place. I'm like, fuck, when I just let go, I'm happiest. Oh my gosh, like, I'm actually dancing and having fun, and I'm this, like, happy, carefree singing person that I've caught glimpses of before. Who is this? Can I really be this person? And it was because I was in so much pain. Anytime I went into my head, that I only found relief by placing all of my focus into music. And through that, somebody who was told their whole life, like, shut up, I was able to sing. And that's something else I want to get to, but I'm really happy I actually got this out for now. I'm going to continue to do some other things, and yeah. Okay, cool.